Have you ever wondered if her disinterest is real or just a shield? Often, what seems like indifference is just pride in disguise, a defense mechanism not to demonstrate vulnerability. But the absence of external signs does not mean the absence of feeling. The problem is when you try to decipher that silence while you haven't yet learned to deal with your own. The Stoic man does not live trying to guess the minds of others. He turns his attention inward, because he understands that the need to be remembered by him is born from the absence of himself. Every desperate search for external recognition reveals a need that can only be met internally. And while you wait for a sign, the world calls you to evolve. It's not about whether she feels it or doesn't feel it. It's about you finally learning to feel complete without even knowing it. True power begins when you no longer need the answer to move forward. When doubt ceases to be a prison and becomes just a light observation with no control over its direction. Every woman at some point misses the presence that was steady, constant, and silent. But this only happens after this presence is no longer offered as a need. When you stop chasing and start walking inward, you become memorable. And what is memorable comes back, not always physically, but energetically. The problem was never that she didn't notice you. The problem was that you needed to be noticed so much. When you learn to be okay without being remembered, the world will start to remind you, because real presence does not beg for space. It imposes, with posture, with focus, with purpose. So yes, maybe she misses you, maybe I'm faking it, but that's no longer the right question. The right question is, do you feel your own presence, or do you still live trying to find yourself in someone else's eyes? Many men confuse a woman's silence with the end of the story, as if the absence of words was a final verdict. But her silence didn't come to destroy you. He came to reveal you, because when she stops talking, you're forced to listen to the only sound that really matters, what's coming from within. Stoic male psychology teaches that the silence of the other is the ideal time for you to hear your own voice, because while she was talking, you were distracted. But now, in the echo of absence, you are forced to look within, and it is there, deep within himself, that the true reunion lives. Don't run away from emptiness. He has something to show you. Every minute of silence can turn into a step of self-knowledge if you have the courage to face loneliness without despair. The man who finds himself again in silence becomes imperturbable, because he no longer depends on external noise to feel alive. She may be quiet, but you don't have to scream. You just need to breathe, organize your thoughts, strengthen your emotional structure. It is in this process that you discover how little you knew yourself and how much you can still grow, because silence doesn't hurt. What hurts is the attachment to her noise. Don't try to fill the silence with messages, calls, or forced presence. Fill in with evolution, with purpose, with training. Use their silence as a space to rebuild yourself. The lack of response may be the missing answer. You need you. And ironically, it is in this silent reunion with your own soul that you become the kind of man impossible to ignore. Not out of necessity, but by presence. And presence is not explained, it is felt. For the common man, her no is a sentence, a direct rejection of its value. But for the centered man, no is not an end. It is a sign, a warning, a reminder that there is still something within him that needs to be strengthened, because the man who is complete does not suffer from refusal. It refines. Stoic psychology does not treat no as defeat, but as instruction. A woman can say no for many reasons. Some have to do with it, others with you. But in the end, the most important thing is not why you don't, it's what you do with it. The mature man transforms the no into training. The immature turns into trauma. You don't have to be accepted by everyone. It needs to be accepted by you, because those who live waiting for someone's yes always live in imbalance. Steadfastness does not come from external acceptance, it comes from internal alignment. A no can be the beginning of your new version if you choose to listen to it wisely. The man who hears, "You're not ready yet," instead of "You're not good enough," grows. He trains, he studies, he transforms, not to please, but because evolution has become a habit, a pleasure, a lifestyle. And when evolution is constant, the no's of the world lose strength, and the yeses become just consequences. Every time you hear no and fall, you strengthen the idea that you only have value with her yes. But every time you hear no and stand up, you teach the world that your worth is non-negotiable. This is dignity. This is stoicism. So the next time you hear a no, don't question the world. Ask yourself, what still needs to mature in me for this no to become unnecessary? You only miss her so much because you haven't learned to suffice yourself yet. Her absence hurts you because you haven't filled your own space yet. But what if the pain you feel now is not loss, but a reminder that it's time to find yourself again? The Stoic man sees absence as an opportunity. He does not rush to fill the void. He studies it. He respects you. He understands that every inch of her lack is actually an area of his own inner absence. And the only way to stop feeling so much is to start occupying that space with true presence. It's easy to get lost in her gestures, in the memory, in touch. But it is really difficult to look in the mirror and face the truth. You have outsourced your completeness. He put his emotional center in the hands of someone who has the right to leave. And as long as this is so, your peace will always be alone. You don't need her back. It needs your return to training, to discipline, by the way, to everything you let go of while trying to be accepted. When you return to what strengthens you, the pain of absence becomes an engine of growth. And not on emotional breaks. The woman who moves away from a man who is at peace with herself always misses it, because this type of man is rare, and everything that is rare, when it disappears, is missed. True presence is like a strong perfume. Even after it leaves, it still remains in the air. Her absence is the mirror. The presence that was missing is yours. And the more you find yourself again, the less you miss what you can't control, and the more you fall in love with what you can build. You only feel rejection as pain when you still believe you need to be accepted in order to be worthwhile. But it doesn't have to. Its value already exists. The pain just shows how much you've forgotten about it, how much you still depend on someone else to feel whole. Stoic male psychology teaches that rejection is an opportunity in disguise. She reveals the parts of herself that are still fragile, those who still react instead of responding, the ones that are easily shaken because they have not yet taken root. Her no doesn't diminish you, it just shows you where structure is still lacking. When you put your self-esteem in the yes of others, you live hostage. Any refusal turns into an earthquake. But when you build your identity based on your discipline, your purpose, your routine, the no loses its strength. He had become only a distant echo, a detail, not a destination. The man who understands this does not react with anger, nor with despair. He breathes, he observes, and it continues because he knows those who reject you are not attacking you. They are only revealing how much you have not yet validated yourself internally. You are valuable not when she says you are, but when you act like someone who knows that. His posture, his energy, his serenity in the face of disinterest. All of this communicates more than words. And what communicates power inevitably attracts respect. Rejection is not about her, it's about what still needs to mature in you. And the day you no longer react with pain, but with awareness, is the day you become unshaken. Every time you act expecting applause, you distance yourself from yourself. Every attempt to please, to be noticed, to be chosen, it's a curve that takes you out of your way. The search for approval is one of the quietest and most destructive traps, because it seems harmless, but it consumes you inside. Stoic male psychology is clear. The man who lives by the validation of others never discovers his own worth, because he's always molding, adjusting, trying to fit in. And in this process, it gets lost. It fades away. It is no longer whole to be accepted. You were not made to please. It was made to live with purpose. And when your purpose depends on someone's opinion, it ceases to be yours. True emotional freedom is born when you stop trying to convince the world that you deserve something and start building a life that convinces you that you're enough. Every woman feels when a man is trying to please in order to be loved. And most of the time, this does not attract away, because overexertion communicates scarcity, and no one feels safe with someone who is always trying to be chosen. Strength is in solidity, not in attempt. You need to stop living as if the direction of your life is in her hands, because as long as you depend on the approval of others, you will become more and more predictable, anxious, and disconnected from yourself. The man who constantly seeks approval is always indebted to himself. Go back to your axis. Take back control. Don't live waiting to be accepted. Live so truly, so disciplined, and so aligned with your principles that being accepted becomes just a consequence, not a necessity. You may be desired by many, but still not be respected by anyone, because respect does not come from appearance, nor from sympathy. It comes from discipline, the way you behave when no one is looking, of your ability to stand firm, even when everything around you invites you to lose control. The woman can admire her beauty for a moment. You can be enchanted by your way. But what really imprints presence, what remains, is discipline. It is constancy. It is your ability to maintain direction, even in the face of rejection, silence, and wounded ego. The Stoic man does not try to gain respect. He becomes respectable because he knows that true admiration is born when he is faithful to his word, to his principles, to his evolution. A man who dominates himself is a man who naturally sets limits without having to say a word. She can even test it. It can try to make you mad. It can provoke. But the disciplined man does not react. He chooses. He chooses the moment, the tone, the presence, because he knows that respect is not required. It is transmitted. Don't try to earn respect by being too nice or giving in to everything or trying to be too understanding. It just shows that you're willing to give up yourself to keep someone around. But that's not strength. It's fear, and fear does not inspire anyone. Respect comes when you respect yourself so much that the world understands this man has a limit, he has presence, he has a center. And that, member of Living from YouTube, is worth more than any momentary desire. The anxiety to be accepted by herself, by society, or by any other external factor is the symptom of an internal disconnection. Because the man who is whole does not need to be fitted. It already takes up space. It is already complete. And those who are complete do not beg for a place. It fills presence. In Stoic philosophy, being whole is more important than being liked, because what you are is worth more than what they think of you. When you seek acceptance, you become too malleable, flexible to the point of losing its shape, and your shape is what makes you unique. The woman notices when you are whole. And it also notices when you're trying to complete yourself with it. When you want to be accepted, you hand over control. When you are whole, you share presence. The difference is subtle but profound. A whole man attracts by vibration. A needy man repels by weight. You don't have to change to be accepted. It needs to evolve to be true. True transformation comes not from the need to please, but from the desire to become someone better for oneself. Because the only yes that really changes your life is yours. When you accept yourself, with your flaws, your trajectory, your limits, the world begins to respect your presence, because you stopped pretending, running, tasting, and he began to simply live. Acceptance is a consequence of wholeness, and wholeness is the result of emotional discipline. Practice this every day, because the whole man does not conquer space, it is space itself. Many believe that walking away is a strategy of seduction, that disappearing will cause nostalgia. It will provoke curiosity, it will make her miss it. But for the Stoic man, estrangement is not a game, it is a practice. A moment of reconnection, a return to one's own centrality. Disappearing is not about her, it's about you. It's about moving away from everything that destabilizes you, to find everything that makes you stronger. When you disappear from the external world, it is because you have decided to appear in your internal world. And this has nothing to do with manipulation, it has everything to do with maturity. The common man disappears waiting to be searched. The Stoic man disappears to rebuild himself. He understands that it is not the noise that heals, it is the silence. And in that silence, he reorganizes his routine, his mind, his purpose. He comes back stronger, firmer, more centered. True emotional control doesn't scream. He walks away, he breathes, he waits for the right moment. He respects the timing of things. The mature man does not press. He understands that the other's time does not interfere with his growth. If you still use disappearance as a form of revenge, you are in the wrong place. That's ego wounded. But if you have learned to retreat to rebuild yourself, congratulations, you've already begun to master the most important art of all, self-control. To disappear with class is to disappear without drama. It is to walk away without warning. It's focusing so much on yourself that absence becomes mystery, and mystery becomes presence. The race for attention is always an escape from oneself. Every time you send a message expecting a response, you offer too much, you explain yourself too much, you insist too much, you are moving away from your center. Because those who are centered don't run. He walks steadily. Stoic psychology teaches every need to be noticed comes from a lack of inner presence. You don't have to run after anyone when you're full of yourself, not full of arrogance, but of truth, of discipline, of direction. When you know who you are, you don't run. Attracts. The problem is that many men confuse persistence with dependence, and they confuse presence with insistence. But when you start to self-observe, you realize that many of your actions are requests disguised as love, and that drives them away. Because love is not asked for. Love respects each other. You are no longer you when you are chasing. You become an anxious, disconnected, fragmented version. His posture changes, his speech changes, your energy changes, and she feels it. She notices, and most of the time, it retreats. Because no one wants someone who has forgotten about themselves. The Stoic man does not run, he remains. He knows that time reveals everything, and that chasing is the fastest way to get lost. As long as you are out of your mind, you will always be far from your true strength. Stop running, back, find your base again, reinforce your discipline, redirect your attention, because the man who walks in peace with who he is ends up being followed, even unintentionally. As long as you're always there, always ready, always accessible, your presence will seem assured, and everything that seems guaranteed loses value. Human beings have a cruel tendency. They only recognize the importance of what they have lost or can no longer control. And with the male presence, it is no different. You don't have to shout your absence. Just stop offering yourself. Just come back to yourself. Because the true Stoic does not disappear to manipulate, he withdraws to preserve. He doesn't threaten to leave, he just will. And in this silent gesture, he begins to be remembered. Not because of the pain of lack, but because of the strength of the presence that is no longer there. The woman feels it, even if he pretends, even if he says everything is fine, even if he smiled. She notices when that man, who once tried so hard, has now chosen to respect himself more. And this contrast is striking, because when she realizes that you have rebuilt yourself, that you have stopped begging, that you have taken over your direction, she feels it. You don't need her to miss her. It needs you to find yourself again. And in this reunion, the most powerful of effects happens. You become unforgettable. Not because you tried to be, but because he was the only one who had the courage to leave with dignity. The presence of a man who has reconnected with his essence has an impact that no ready-made phrase achieves. It is felt in the look, in the speech, in the gesture. And what is felt, even at a distance, marks. He returns to memory in silence. So if she still doesn't notice you, don't insist, just walk. Because the moment your absence is filled by your own inner presence, it will realize you are no longer available, and for that very reason became unforgettable. The weak man begs for attention. He begs for messages, strength meetings. He acts as if his existence depends on her response. But the Stoic man does not play this game. He transforms silence into a tool, in discipline, in depth. He doesn't expect to be called. He calls himself back. Every absence is a chance to build presence, not in the other, in itself. When everything around is silent, the centered man listens. He withdraws. It gets stronger. He understands that silence is not the end, it is proof. And by passing this test with integrity, he rises. You don't need to beg for space. It needs to inhabit its own. When you turn silence into a moment of growth, something inside you changes. Your energy changes, his voice changes. And even if no one says anything, everyone feels it, including her. The man who is silent with purpose impresses more than the one who speaks of despair. His silence is not empty. It is a solid presence. It's an unspoken message. It is vibration that fills the environment without needing to be explained. And that vibe, it is magnetic. You don't have to plead, because supplicating says more about your need than about your intention. The man who knows who he is, who knows what he is building, never begs. He focuses, he trains, it evolves, and over time everyone realizes this man has changed. And it doesn't go back to what it was. A man's greatest strength lies in his ability to remain silent without losing his center, because that silence is the cradle of your most powerful presence, the one that no one forgets. She can fake it, you can ignore it, you can smile as if you don't feel it. But deep down, every woman feels the absence of a man who knows who she is, that doesn't beg, that does not unravel, who does not try to impress. He just lives in truth. Such a man is rare, and everything that is rare is missed. The Stoic man is the type who, when he goes out, leaves marks, because he was not there to be approved. I was to live with integrity. While others get lost trying to conquer, he builds himself in silence. While others mold themselves to please, they discipline themselves to grow. She might even choose another one. He may even look happy. But what remains is the memory of how she felt next to a man who was enough. Lightness, firmness, the silence full of meaning, the presence that did not depend on her, but that, even so, touched her deeply. You don't have to become better for her. You need to become better for yourself. Because the woman who really matters will be touched by her essence, not by her effort to please. And the essence only appears when you are whole, when you are enough, when you live to be complete and not to be accepted. Everything changes. His posture changes. Your energy changes. And over time, life puts you in front of people who feel, respect, and value who you really are, not the character you pretend to be. So don't worry if she'll miss you. Just focus on being so whole that your absence speaks louder than any attempt at presence, because at the end of the day, a woman can forget everything, except for the man who was enough.